Hello, lazy photographers. I hope you are all doing well as it can be, I guess. It's still a pandemic. Here, everything is kind of fine. We are getting closer to the moment where they're supposed to lift the lockdown, which is going to be like May 4th. And I still don't know how I feel about it. I don't know if I'm more relieved and happy or just anxious and worried about what's going to happen next. So I still keep an eye on the which medieval cat are you thread, and I see that many of us are struggling in different moments. So always feel free to pop into that thread and just like vent about it. It's very welcome, and somebody will be there to support you and try to at least listen to you, and so you'll know that you're not alone through this. And please, please, please take care of yourself, and make sure that you have everything you need right now to function in the way that makes sense for you. So if photography is not your priority right now, it's fine. It's absolutely fine. And if you start to feel overwhelmed about the fact that you're missing some assignments, do not worry about that. My suggestion would be to just jump into the moment we are now. Like if you skipped a couple of weeks, don't try to do those first and then do the current exercise assignment. Just do the current assignment first, and if you have time, you can always do the earlier ones. So really do not worry about that. It's not, I will not think less of you. Nobody here will think less of you. Every one of us is in their own journey, and it's just like a shared space, but it's fine. And let's talk about assignment number 3, which I actually found extremely interesting. It was amazing for me to see some of you really, really pushing the boundaries of the assignment and experimenting, and trying different directions before finding one that would work for you. And one thing that I would like to point your attention towards is how different the perception of what you're looking at becomes if you include or not include the window frame in the shot. And the best way I can explain that is, when you're reading a book and you're either reading like in first person narrator or a third person narrator, and I feel that not including the frame feels more like third person narrator, or including either the frame of the reflection or something that tells you that there is a window kind of instantly make the image more intimate, gives like a different mood and atmosphere to the photo. And how much of a window you decide to include makes a difference. If you include more of the room, or just a hint of the window and more of the outside world, makes a difference. And these little small details that seem almost non-important because it's just like, it's a window, who cares, they can change completely what you're looking at. And I feel that as we go on this like weird roller coaster of a lab, I wish that you will be able to actually start seeing these things as you're shooting or as you're editing your work. Like everything that you include in the photo and everything that you leave out of a photo adds to the meaning and adds to the message that you're sending. Like I think we were talking today about how a photo should be able to speak for itself, which is something that I agree with. Like if it's not in the photo, it's not in the photo. Like for most projects, like if you're showing me a photo and you have to explain it, if you're showing me like a photo of like a foot, and the important part is what's happening with the hands, and it's outside of the frame, for me it's just not like it's just not there. But at the same time, there are some kind of projects where there is like a relationship between images and words, and in those kind of projects, the thing is you have to make sure you're not using the words to explain the photo, and you're not using the photo to explain the words, but together they are creating a content that is bigger of the sums of its parts. Is that how you say it? It is now. Also, I see that some of you are struggling with spending words to describe your process. And I understand that, because it's not something that we are trained to do. It's not something that we are used to do. And honestly, it's not something that you have to do. It's just something that I strongly believe helps a lot when it comes to improving the way we look at things, improving the way we communicate things. There is like a close relationship between photography and language. If you think about it, photography is a visual language. A lot of the same rules that apply to English and literature apply to photography as well. One of my favorite manuals is Bird by Bird by Anne Lamott, and it's a book about writing. But if you take everything that's written in there and you substitute the word photographer every time you see writer, or photography every time you see writing, it makes perfect sense, and it's like a bunch of really, really good advice. And very often we are trained to only show the best of what we shoot, and to not show others the shortcomings. And so I understand that it's kind of uncomfortable to show something that might not be like successful or perfect, and also to explain why that wasn't successful, or why you think it's not successful. And I think that doing so actually, and I feel that some of you are already seeing this happen. Like, as you try to explain why you are struggling with that specific thing, as you are writing about it, you find a solution. Like, as you're trying to find the words to describe what went wrong, what you could have done pops into your mind. It's something that I see happening over and over and over. And it's one of the main reasons why I ask people to do this. But also, there's another thing that I think it's important. And I'm also talking about this because I know that like the personal project deadline is like creeping in, and it's starting to get closer and closer. And I know that a bunch of you are probably panicking. First of all, stop panicking. Like, it's the first month. You don't have to turn in like the whole project. You don't even have to turn in like a good picture. It doesn't have to be a good picture. Like, I hope that you start to realize that in here, and it doesn't have to be like this in your life. It doesn't have to be like this outside of this forum. But please, in here, it's not about taking the perfect photo. Is not about even taking like a pretty photo or like a decent photo. We achieve quality through quantity, and there was actually an experiment like about this. Like, if you take like two groups of people, and you ask the first group to like you give them an assignment, which might be like build a vase, or like write a three paragraph story. And to the first group, you only tell them like you have to make as many as you can in 4 hours. And to the second group, you only ask them to only turn in their best work. After like a month, the first group usually improves like a lot in ways that it's almost incredible. The second group usually hardly improves at all. And I've seen this with students over and over. If you aim for perfection, usually what happens is just like people freeze and nothing happens. So aim for quantity, and we'll figure out how to improve quality as we go. And in the first month, you don't even have to completely know what you're working about, what you're working on yet. Like, you have to turn into photos. They have to be 1300 pixels or something like that. They have to be coherent. Like, please make sure that you understand that you need to decide if it's gonna be vertical or horizontal, if it's gonna be color or black and white. And the thing is, I'm not telling you that every project needs to be coherent. Like, there are amazing projects who are mixing and matching different kind of photos. Like, some are lit with flash, some are natural light, some are like scans of objects. But to make things easier here, we're basically doing what we have done with the window. I'm telling you, like, there are many windows in your house. I'm asking you in here to only consider this one. It doesn't mean that you have to completely destroy your windows or block them forever. Please, like, keep working in several formats if that makes sense for your project. But if having full marks is important for you, just know that turning in, like, every time horizontal photos in color or vertical photos in black and white is gonna give you full marks. The reason we are doing this is not because we are sadistic, maybe a little bit, but yeah. No, it's not. Like, really, it's not. It doesn't give me pleasure to know you're struggling. The only reason we are doing this is to keep things fair for people who might have less experience and who might get really, really confused when it comes to understanding what coherency is. So and this way, the way we grade your work is never ever going to be about how much I like it or how much I think it is successful. It's numbers. So if I ask for the photo to be 1300 pixels and it's 1200, it's not something that I decided. Like, it's a number. It's another number if it's like late or if it's on time. And it's also like something that is quite objective to understand for people, that if we ask for coherency, it can be really subtle, and sometimes it's hard to explain to someone why two images are not coherent enough. And because it's really hard to define, we try to just keep it at the bare minimum, like something that it's so obvious that it cannot be denied. So if everything is black and white and there is one color photo, it's obvious that that one does not belong. So we're not gonna be like super strict with everything else, but this thing, it just makes things more fair for everybody and less stressful. We don't want to add stress to a stressful situation. What else? I'm seeing like a lot of interesting stuff this week as well, and I cannot wait to talk about this assignment that you're doing right now, because there are so many things that I need to say, and I'm actually keeping notes so that I don't forget to talk about all these things. But I'm really like, some of the work that you did with this window assignment was actually like super impressive, and it's been also so nice to be able to peek into your lives for a little bit and into the places around the world. So thank you for allowing me to do that. And that's it. Like, if you have something to say, or if you have like some concerns about this assignment, like if you struggle with something and I didn't address this in this video, please feel free to comment below as usual, and I'll see you in about a week. And again, do not stress about the personal project. It's the first month. You don't have to do everything in the first month. You just begin. It's 2 photos. If it's 2 photos of your butt, it's fine. It's really fine. We'll figure it out next month. You might have a little bit of penalty because it's not gonna be other photos of your butt, but it's fine. Like, do not. There's so many things to stress about, and your project is not one of them. And if you're struggling and are stuck, write that in your journal. I'll be coming to help you. And please, another thing, super important. Tell me what kind of help you need, please. Like I try to be as empathetic that I know how to be. I still not a mind reader, and so everything you don't tell me, I don't know. And the only way I can understand what you're trying to achieve is by reading what you write. And sometimes I might see something, or other people might see something and comment on that, but you might need something completely different. Like if you're struggling with the technique and you want to know if we think it's correct, or if we think there's a better way to do something specific, ask that. Unsolicited advice, especially in something as like vulnerable as a personal project, sometimes can be really frustrating. And there's nothing worse than feeling like misunderstood. Like if everybody is very often, if like the first comment goes in a specific direction, you will notice that the subsequent comments will also go in that direction. And so the whole thing might be like such sidetracked and make you feel very, very frustrated, because that's not what you wanted to say. And it's like your project and people are not getting it. So the best way to avoid that is by being clear about the kind of things you would like to know from us. Like help us give you what you need. Like we are tools, use us, but also use us correctly. Like we don't just expect us to perform a critique if you don't give us what we need to do that job well. That's it. I hope you have a lovely week, and I'll see you here again next week.